Yeah, Free for All Friday here, and you know that you're working alongside him with a millennial who is a great tennis player, really a great tennis player. That's Guillermo Marino. But you know that he's a total millennial when he doesn't know who Eli Nastase is. You're out there that don't even play this. No, Eli
no idea
Nastase.
Who that is. I have no idea who that is.
He was the guy Jimmy Connors and McEnroe didn't want to play because he was so talented, but he was so emotional that if you caught him on a good day, Ely would just eat anybody's lunch. He was eating Nastase. But he could get him out of his game by messing with him, by smack talking a little bit. But one of the most talented players ever to hold a racket. And Guillermo had no idea who it is. Gosh darn, I've
Zero.
He didn't know who had the hardest serve until you looked up Roscoe Tanner.
I didn't know.
Roscoe Tanner. Are you in my shot here on the thing? Are you there like that little bird on my shoulder?
Not yet, but I will be.
You will be?
Yeah.
I kind of like that shot.
It's a good shot.
It's kind of like the puppet behind Joe Biden. It's just, Guillermo's actually telling me what to say, so blame him. He's right behind me whispering in my ear all this stuff that gets me in trouble.
All right, ready? 10 seconds. 3, 2.
I thought we were already on.
I guess we don't have to stick.
Facebook.
That's true. All right.
We're on radio today, are we?
No, but we should. Here we go. 5, 4,
Over the theme
3,
song. Okay.
2.
This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlong, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office and now behind the mic at KXEX. This is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody clubbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. Free at last! Free at last!
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KRTX.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. It's Free for All Friday. Oh, to be able to do that yell like John Lennon in that Revolution. I wish I could just do it one time. Blow out every vocal cord I have. I don't care. Just one time, the release that he has to have gotten for that. Which, by the way, I've been getting a little criticism going, oh, they have one of them die-hard liberal band, them Beatles there, you know, from that commie theme song, Revolution. Well, go listen to the song. It is probably the most patriotic, conservative, right-leaning, traditional values song that you'll ever hear. Go listen to the lyrics. I mean, they're amazingly pro-American, patriotic, pro-Constitution, everything you could imagine. It should be the theme song of the Republican and conservative movement. It really should be, Guillermo.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's you got to listen. You got to listen. Apparently,
I'm on your shoulder now.
Are you on my shoulder?
See?
Right shoulder this way?
Yeah,
that
there you
way?
go. See?
This way?
Right shoulder. There you go. See, it's like we're talking to each other.
I love you so much, Guillermo. Thank you for being on my shoulder. Just like the puppet master behind Biden. You just tell me what to do.
I'll tell you what to do in your ear.
You speak in my ear, all this stuff. Hey, man, we pissed the Lago rhythm off. You see we had, close to 1,000 viewers on Monday.
Uh-huh.
Okay? And then, because I hit the border issue very hard, the border issue. So come Wednesday, we had like a trickle. I think it was like 100 viewers.
What?
Over 120, I think, comments, but only 100 viewers.
Oh, we got censored for sure.
And that's a trend that we follow. If you speak critical and even in a good, respectful way, and you preface your sentences and your opinions with a respectful nod to the opposing point of view. It doesn't matter. If you bring up that there's a problem at the border, if you bring up a problem that they may be over-prosecuting some people on January 6th, just say that. Possible that they may be over-prosecuting some. And you say many should be in jail for even longer for what they did. I could say that and say all of this. But if you say anything about January 6th other than anybody who was there drawing a breath should be thrown in prison and a key thrown away, you're going to get algorithmed. You're going to get primaried in the election. But that's apparently what happened. We'll see what happens today because you know what? I don't know. It's just the way Mama raised me.
Yeah,
that ain't no way to move me off of something. And this border issue, we're gonna talk about today, Guillermo. But I know you're made the same way. I just can't see you ever. You're a great businessman. I mean, somebody come along and offered you $10 million for this station. I bet you and Mama would say, "We need to listen to that."
You offer me $10, I'll take it right
now. I'll buy it for that. But if somebody told you, "Look, part of the deal is you have to say what I tell you to say." And you have to take the position that I'm taking you to be like MSNBC is doing to Joe Scarborough. Poor Joe Scarborough, that guy that you listen to, used to be a moderate Republican, even kind of on the conservative side Republican. And you listen to him now, he gets riled up. He is just so far to the left. He's to the left of Che Guevara. I mean, Che Guevara looks like William Buckley compared to Joe Scarborough.
Right.
And then because somebody signs his paycheck and it ain't Fox News. You know, it's MSNBC and the folks behind that. But we're just not cut from that. And getting the viewers or saving a career, nothing is worth being intimidated to the point where you hold inside what you feel is the truth. And I know you're that way, Guillermo. And that's just where we are because we're going to talk about the border, especially what happened yesterday in El Paso. But first, let me do a qualifier here. I got to say this again because this is going to get me in trouble with some of our farther right brethren. I made a statement, and I hope people who watch this show will forward this and share this as much as they would anything else. I don't hate Joe Biden, okay? I don't hate Hillary Clinton. I don't hate Joe Scarborough. Now, some of their policies I detest. I hate some of their policies because I feel they hurt people, in particular, some of our most vulnerable. So I hate that policy. I don't hate people. And I'm sorry if I don't go to bed at night and say, Lord, please tear up my enemies. Hey, beat them to death. Kill them or whatever. And I do believe there's thoughts in many people on the left's mind, and you know who you are, that would like to see Trump not take another breath. And I'm not going to say that about Joe. And there's people that would like to see Joe Biden, take that fall on Air Force One and not get back up. I ain't one of them. I pray for him to change. I pray for Clinton to change. I pray for Fonnie Willis to change and put country above personal politics. And it goes for some of, again, the farther right brethren that bring that same attitude. But there's more per square inch of these folks that put their political loyalties and their political beliefs over not only their country, but their God-given direction to not hate, that call themselves Christians. Now, I don't go there and criticizing people's faith, but I will tell you this. I believe with all my heart, God will not answer in the positive a hateful prayer. You pray to God with hate, you know what I think you're going to get back? Go take a minute, take a walk, and then come back and pray again. In fact, he says as much, if you're out of sorts with your brother, your sister, don't lay down your sacrifice at the altar. Go straighten that out with your brother and sister and calm down, get that straight. Well, I believe you can extrapolate that, interpret that to mean if you're out of sorts with yourself as a Christian, if you have a hate-filled heart and you're there praying that somebody gets permanently injured is anyway, oh, it's for the country and for God's will that so-and-so suffer a dastardly horrible incident that takes them out of power or whatever. I don't pray for pain for the sake of pain, because I think Biden deserves it or Clinton deserves it and all of this stuff. Thank God we don't all get what we deserve, right? And I'm talking to you and me. Everybody that's viewing right now, thank God you don't get what you deserve. Thank God I don't get what I deserve all the time. And Guillermo, I know you feel the same way. But I think
I do.
After some criticism I had to address this. I'm going to get ready to go after them here. We are, with guns a-blazing, figuratively speaking. Now, I'm not calling for assassinations, for goodness sake. But I felt it's time to just clarify that. I know you go ahead. I know you don't have to have hate in your heart to take a position against these people that are putting forth these policies, anti-American policies, just decency. I mean, on the line. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, politics is a sport these days, unfortunately, Alan. And it's one of those things where you fight to the you fight to the death, right? I mean, that's just the reality. We've conditioned now. They're like UFC fighters, is what we're doing to these guys. So, of course, in a sport, your number one goal is to win, and unfortunately, America loses. The people lose.
You can take principled stands and not hate. For example, they asked where I stand on capital punishment. I said, here's where I stand. If I was sure that a murderer would not be paroled, would spend the rest of her life behind bars and not be eligible for parole, and there's no way that individual could get out and perform those acts on other people and kill other people, I'd probably be not for capital punishment. But as long as that's out there, if this hypothetical happened, say Richard Ramirez or some of the other serial killers, Jeffrey Dahmer, was getting paroled, and they said, there's a possibility of parole, but then they were convicted, then they're up for parole. I would have to be adamantly against that. In fact, if I had the choice between them being paroled or saying, Alan, we're going to execute them, but you have to pull the lever, you have to drop the cyanide, you have to do the injection, or we're going to let Jeffrey Dahmer out on the public again, I would have to do the injection. I'm giving you, I know, an unrealistic hypothetical, but I'm going to give you a window into how I think and where my heart is. I would do that, but I'll tell you what I wouldn't do. Even Jeffrey Dahmer, as horrible as the acts are that he did, Richard Ramirez murdering people, this guy Ibarra that murdered this poor young lady, I wouldn't put in the ejection and then in my heart be saying, die, sucker, die. This is what you deserve, die. I wouldn't inject it with revenge. I would do it with a sense of justice. That if I was responsible for letting that individual go, and I had the ability to stop them, knowing full well they're going to go kill again, then I would be a participant with Jeffrey Dahmer and these people that are proven murderers that these folks let out to kill again. How do I know that? Every single day, it seems like you see people that kill somebody that are already up for trying to kill somebody or have killed somebody before. So you kind of getting where I'm coming from? That'll tick a lot of people off in the right because they are die, sucker, die type people. With Osama bin Laden, when he was killed, I didn't celebrate his death. I was glad he was gone because he wasn't going to kill anymore. But I don't celebrate anybody dying that doesn't know Jesus. I don't celebrate that. That's another soul that could have been saved, but didn't. Do you understand? If I was that Marine guy and I was the only guy that could take Osama bin Laden down, knowing that he was in there, strategically trying to work with terrorist groups to kill more people, yeah, I could have pulled the trigger. But once again, it wouldn't be die, sucker, die. It's not my place to give that revenge. My position is to apply justice. There's a difference, big difference between justice and revenge. In fact, they're not even in the same category. It's like confidence and arrogance. Well, I think it's the same thing. Totally opposite. A very confident person is not arrogant. They're too confident to be arrogant. They know arrogance really works, again, detrimentally to their true confidence. Justice does not work with revenge. And so they say, well, in Israel, Guillermo, are we seeing the application of revenge or justice? I think, quite honestly, we're seeing some of both.
Really? I think it's all justice.
I support Israel's, what they're doing. But, yeah, it would be a fool's errand to think that, there isn't some folks there that want them, that have lost loved ones. It's hard to not let hate, anger, and revenge enter your heart. It has entered mine before. I don't like me when it happens. But justice has to be done, and Israel has to defend itself.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's hopefully the position. I don't want to hate. Why? Because the Bible says don't do that. Jesus said, in fact, when it says, not only are you not supposed to not hate your enemy, you're supposed to bless them. You're not supposed to hate them unless you're supposed to bless them. What does that mean? Well, you're supposed to me, it means pray for their soul, that they change their ways, that they give themselves up. He said, I did something so horrible, I'm ready to face justice. Is that going to happen? Probably not much, but we still got to pray for it because God's a miracle-working God. How do I know that? Oh, the Democrats, that's not going to happen. Well, it happened to one of the people that you admire most, Robert Byrd. He was head of the Klan. Yet you tell us every day, well, that's not him anymore. He got transformed. Well, how did he get transformed? Who transformed him? Have you thought to ask? If you would, he'd tell you if he was still here. God. He was a deep man of faith. God changed him. Do I believe he was changed fully? I don't know Robert Byrd, but I know God and what he can't do. So anyway, I wanted to start to show off on that, letting that I'm not going to go to this place of hate. And when I do, I'm going to let you know, and I'm going to backtrack. And the only way this world is going to solve its problem is a complete commitment to justice, not revenge. The tit for tat is never going to work. It never does. It just perpetuates war. And now with the capability to blow us all to kingdom come or release a virus that can kill half the world, there's so many crazy satellites that can, there are so many ways that pose an existential threat. And I want to come, before we get to the border, I want to talk about these existential threats, because if you hear the left, it's climate change.
Trump.
Trump.
He's an existential threat.
And one of the reasons is because he isn't all on board on this Green New Deal, climate change things that is bankrupting countries and is not going to work. Okay? But they say, okay, climate change, even if you buy it, that's happening. Maybe it is. What's obviously happening. Climate change has happened since this world began, since the atmosphere, God spoke into existence, of course. But how much man or human beings have in contributing to that is still up for legitimate debate. Okay, but say you embrace it that man-made emissions and that sort of thing, variety from cow farts to cars to whatever, is part of it together. Okay, let's buy that premise. Even the experts on the farthest left say you're talking about 100 years at least, mostly say 150 years before their direst predictions start happening, which is meaning you have a tsunami every day hitting the islands. You got a hurricane every other week hitting Florida. All of Malibu has been washed away. The houses have fallen in the ocean, and now the ocean front is over there in Pasadena. Is where they are. They say it's going to be 100, 150 years. Okay. Well, let's compare that to some other existential threats. Because if that's a legitimate question. Okay, smart butt Autry, you're saying there's other existential threats, that the climate change is not the number one. Then what is? Dude, smart guy, give us some. Well, let me give you some examples. I think that is more of an existential threat, and usually this is a setup for my poor attempt at comedy, but this is not. This is serious as a heart attack. I got to find another analogy. I'm 70. It's not so funny anymore. Serious as early onset Alzheimer's. No.
Oh man,
come on, Dad. I don't want that. Okay, let's take one, Guillermo. I'll get your opinion on this. AI.
Yes.
Artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Can it reprogram to push the button, nuclear war, existential threat, world, if not completely destroyed, how we know it as a world? Huh?
Could it?
Immediately. I mean, AI is, you got experts all over the world saying it's not 150 years threat. It's here right now.
I'm sorry, I got to stop. No, I don't, I don't see AI picking up a knife, stabbing someone. I just don't see it.
I'm talking about, let me frame this again.
Okay.
The immediacy of it. We're talking about, some people say that climate change is
then it's definitely not.
150. What they're saying is, because of the technology, the advancements of AI will be on us that they say could cause all of this craziness and existential threat within months, maybe a couple of years. So whether you buy it or don't buy it, I'm talking about the immediacy of it.
I just don't buy it at all.
Okay.
So maybe it's hard for me to see the immediacy.
Okay. All right. I hear you.
How does AI go from a computer to shanking everybody and killing everybody off? I don't see it.
That's from very mean AI.
Come on, I'm not buying it. I am just not buying it.
I respect your position.
And listen, we're high tech. Can't we shut it off? Maybe someone will create. Maybe there's a Shark Tank idea. Maybe we'll create maybe My Pillow. He'll create this AI zapper, right? Wait now. You'll get 2 zappers for the price of 1. You see that AI coming, you push the button, it scrambles them, and then it's like. I'm not buying it. I get what you're saying.
Part of me is with you. I get you. The other part of me is I don't know. A part of me is they may have. All I know is if Elon Musk is scared doodless about it, I have to at least look into it.
Was he smoking pot when he?
I tend to be with you on your side. My young vice brother, in my ears. Because I'm just saying, I'm holding out that it's more. If there is a threat, it's more immediate than climate change. If it's going to happen or not happen, it's like Y2K. They said in 1998, we're going to find out whether there's anything to this Y2K thing in the year 2000. They said all the computers are going to go haywire, planes are going to crash. And they're saying, hey, it's not going to be no big deal. Well, in 2 years, we were going to find out because that's when the turnover.
In 2 years, what, AI is going to take over everything?
Well, no, I'm comparison again to the time frame, the immediacy of consideration. There's some, if you're talking about effects not even happen until 150 years from now. Let's drive ourselves crazy about, and it's nothing. Well, there's more immediate nothings that you need to concern yourself with. I'm actually talking to those who support this Green New Deal movement that think the planet's going to be totally destroyed because, and I'm saying there may be more immediate threats. And let me move on. I got where you are, and part of me is with you. How about underpopulation? Have you been following this?
Underpopulation?
Back in the old days, it was overpopulation.
Yeah.
Now, China, with their 2-child policy, are trying to reverse that. They're paying people to have kids. I guess it's 2.2, I believe it is, kids that you have to have per family there to sustain a population. Okay? That's the average per family. If you don't have that, then the populations start dying off till you end up with 0. And now, a lot of the country, like in China, they're like at 1.9. Over in Italy, they're under 2.2. We're right at 2.2, 2.3, from the statistics that I've seen. But it's become, and again, Elon Musk has made this an issue. People just aren't having babies. The sperm count, and this is right, not a political thing. Researchers that lean to the left, think tanks that lean to the left and the right, have all come up with the conclusion, looking at the data. I don't know how they got it, but they're in agreement that the sperm count of males has gone down all over the world. So not even are families deciding not to have as many babies. There are more and more families that can't have babies because they don't have a sperm count enough. They don't know why it's happening. Know why the other, because women went to work and just to stay home and have 5, 6, 7 kids is not as appealing as it used to be. And they went to work and they don't know how to turn this thing
seriously
on.
The sperm? I've never.
Yes, no, that's
really.
That's not a Tucker Carlson. That's
not Alex Jones.
And I respect Tucker Carlson. I do. I don't believe in everything he says, But he's right about this. I can categorize it and siloize it and bifurcate what he says and say, I agree with him over here. I think he's nuts over here about UFOs. He hammers us UFOs. Sorry, Tucker. In fact,
I believe him on the CFOs.
Oh, yeah.
I believe him on the UFOs. I don't believe him on the other stuff.
I will take climate change before I think some aliens are going to come here, invade us, and kill us all.
The aliens.
The Twilight Zone episode.
The aliens are
They came here to
controlling
eat
the
us.
climate, Alan.
Well,
Alex Jones says so.
I took a look at Joe Scarborough, and you might be right. There could be alien. I think he might be an alien. Okay.
Man.
All right. How about this one? Here's another one. You know these asteroids, how close we've come to being hit by an asteroid that would be devastating to the Earth, all over the Earth. May I remind you that it's a big old asteroid that got rid of the dinosaurs, that threw up enough dust to blanket the sun for a long time, called the Ice Age, that most experts believe was brought upon us by this gigantic asteroid. There have been near misses happen almost yearly. I'm not going to say daily, but yearly. You hear about these asteroids, huge ones, getting closer and closer. Well, our government, working with other governments, have started to work with on technology to be able to go up, hit that asteroid with some kind of nuclear device or what have you, and push, veer that asteroid off the path to Earth. Doesn't that sound like a more existential threat that's immediate?
So like Armageddon
to
the
us
movie.
than climate change? That could happen, yes.
Yeah, like Armageddon the movie, yeah.
Well,
Bruce Willis.
because it's, how do you know that? Because it's I'm going to do it, Joe Biden. Because it's already happened once. It's called the Ice Age. That's how we know asteroids hit the Earth. We may have the technology to veer that off if we keep focusing on that, not about something that may happen 150 years from now. So by all means, let's bankrupt ourselves in every other country so we can invest in asteroid adjustment, because that is a real threat that we may be able to do something about. How about killer viruses? I mean, how many million do you have to lose people to die during COVID?
Preach it.
And Guillermo and all the scientists say this, and it's all. I know it seemed very unsettling to folks. I know it caused havoc, but this could be the virus starter kit. This could be just child's play in terms of what could be released on the world as antibiotics continue to decline in their efficacy. That's happening, and that could. Are we making sure we don't have more Wuhan labs? My goodness, Guillermo, you covered on a show that went out in Reedley, little town next to us. How many more are out there operating crazy, free of any kind of oversight, and they come up with this killer virus that's worse than COVID, and there's no way to run from it, and you don't, you can't put a handkerchief on yourself and say you're safe.
Alan, I've been on this for the last since post-COVID. I said, please tell me that there is some underground bunker that the United States, somebody is working. We have a bunch of mad scientists down there trying to figure out how to combat the next virus.
Oh God, I hope you're right.
Why doesn't the government tell us stuff?
Lord, I hope you're right.
Why doesn't Joe Biden come out and say, here's the deal. We got to get ready. We got to get prepared. We got to get prepared for the next virus. Well, no one's talking about that.
Because this crazy...
What about stockpiling? What about gloves, masks?
Too much common sense.
I want to see the conventions.
Yes.
I want to see the storage units saying, hey, America, this happens again, we're ready. By the way, we're creating this, these lines of vaccines we're creating every day. The next virus hits, we're going to inject it, boom, see what works. We have these channels out. We're setting up government distribution centers. It's a little kind of hut out there by your interstate. You're going to pop off. This isn't rocket science. It's almost as if we're it's like in sports. You're flat-footed, right? You're flat-footed.
You can't move fast.
You can't move fast enough.
No,
Autry
that's
for
my
president.
point exactly. I hope, but no, this Green New Deal got so well funded, got sold to governments around the world, except Russia and China, are laughing all the way to the bank, and India. They feel that being able to attain the powers of God and control weather totally. To be God is more of an attainable goal than being able to prepare yourself for killer viruses. To prepare yourself to be able to have the technology to knock a killer asteroid off its path. To have the ability to try to encourage more people to have more babies so we don't die of underpopulation and the machines completely take over. And how about nuclear war? That's like 4 or 5 different things. That could happen in 1 second. Joe Biden or any other president could be in there, have an off day, what have you, push a button, they go, oh, there's safeguards, Alan, that couldn't happen. How do you know? How do you know? If I told you, we're going to pull out of Afghanistan and there's going to be $83 billion of equipment left there, and they're going to get the military out before they get innocent Americans out and get their embassy out. That's going to happen. You know what you would say to me, folks on the left that just think government's the answer and smarter than all of us? They'd say, that is the stupidest thing in the world. They're never going to leave. It's women and children out first. That's why the military is there, to get innocent people out. You're right. They're supposed to take all that equipment. They'll take that. You're right. And they'll go the time late. There's nothing in stone in that date. Are you kidding me, Autry? Our government's smarter. They're not going to do that. That would be stupid. That would be idiotic. You're right. But they did. Yes, they were that stupid. They were that politically poisoned. Why? Because, again, this Trump derangement thing is to reverse everything Trump did. If Trump had been there and they came out with a true cure for cancer, these folks on the left would have fought tooth and nail to repeal it. Not because it was saving lives and could save even their mother's life or themselves. They hate Trump more than they love life. Alan, that's exact. Is it really? I tell you, I didn't like Obama's policy, but I did not hate the man. I was glad to see him get out of office. I wanted no harm to come to him. But when your first act that you do as president is overturn the Mexico City policy, which said to any nation that we give money to that you just can't use this wantonly for abortion. I mean, you can abort babies at any stage in your country. You pick it. Here's the money. You don't have any oversight for it. Go. Just abort all you want to. Very first act he did. But these are just things. Go ahead. Well, nuclear war, like I said, these are all more existential threats that are more immediate than any possible climate change issue that you're destroying economies over. Go ahead.
Well, let me get back. So we are under the premise that the individuals that are pushing the Green New Deal actually want to better the environment or clean it up, right? I'm telling you that that's a premise. They really don't care about the environment in as much as they care about taking down the systems that they're saying produce all these harmful effects, like the auto industry, right? The transportation industry, the health industry, the food industry. So I think we all sit here and just give it to the pro-Green New Deal people that what they say is actually going to happen, where if we all do this, the air is going to be cleaner, everything's going to be, it's going to look like the Garden of Eden. Right? We're assuming that premise when you got to take a step back and you got to attack it at the very beginning and say, wait a minute, listen, that's a bunch of you-know-what. First of all, you guys don't care about the environment. Which, if you did, you would have made China and India signatories to whatever you want to do because they're the biggest polluters. So let's just take a step back and say, this just actually isn't what it is, in as much as it is a type of globalization push, right? It's to bring in this globalist, elitist kind of view, which takes down America.
Led by nationalist
countries. Yes.
Masquerading as globalist. China is it is a nationalist country, shows India. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Keep going, though.
Yeah, but that's my point, is like, we keep saying the Green New Deal is going to do X, Y, Z, and we're giving it that to them when it's not going to.
Yeah, you're on to something, and as I think this thing through, I think there's a lot of merit to a lot of folks that embrace this new Green Deal. There's some over there that are some things in the new Green Deal that are okay. I mean, you want to transfer as much solar you can, but you don't want to put these crazy dates on it. or you end up with an economic Afghanistan, a false date. You'd rush recklessly trying to, are you going to ban fossil fuel cars in California by 2035? Well, that's not going to happen. Don't put these false deadlines. Just gradually transfer over what logically can be transferred over. Solar panels on your house? Great. Solar panels to power a tank? Probably not. Because I got news, enemies don't usually just fight when the sun's shining. That's just not the way it works. But you hit on something, and I think we all have to understand this. These folks that do believe that the new Green Deal, regardless of the carnage and destruction that it causes globally, economically in particular, and the pain and the hunger that it causes worldwide. I mean, how are you going to ship food there? I mean, these trucks that are trying to get food to Nigeria and to Gaza are not powered by solar. You got to, but there's some things there. Like I said, the house panels. I just put a little light, a yard light in. It's powered by solar. There's some solar cars. Okay, makes sense. But here's the thing. And there's people that support. I think what you're talking about and what is really frightening is there's millions and millions and millions of people in this country. They're used to be in Germany, but they're turning around because they went full on Green New Deal, and they're an economic wreck. The most powerful country over there is a shell of the country. Italy's more powerful than them, okay? But just say there's a huge swath of the Democratic Party that believe, to hell with the consequences, this is the right thing to do. And it collateral damage, people starve, economies get destroyed. It's just collateral damage on what must morally be done. This is what happens when you take God out of the equation. Because that void of what we're all built to worship. You're going to worship something. Some people worship money. Some people worship status. Some people worship God. What is that? It becomes a religion. And the Green New Deal to many has become a religion. And Guillermo, here's where it gets in what we have to understand. To be effective in countering this, you just can't, when they say full new Green Deal all over the world, damn the consequences. AOC gets up there and does that, and these countries, you can't sit up there and just say, that's a bunch of BS, hogwash, you're crazy and insane, even though it is. Because it would be like us explaining Christianity to someone, to an atheist, and they listen, and then they say, that is crazy, insane, fantasy. Bill Maher says, he's just rips you up telling you how crazy and insane you are. Unless you're a really strong Christian. If you're a really strong Christian, you're going to hang in there and try to influence Bill Maher. Okay? Because you understand that Bill Maher really believes that, and because it's so wrong, it can be changed. How do you effectively argue that case to make that change? Because what it boils down to, it's so outrageous on the left. We think there's got to be some hook to this. They can't believe this stuff. And I think the first step is saying, yes, they do. They not only believe it, it is their religion. And some of them would die for their religion. I would like to think I would die before I would reject Jesus as my Lord and Savior. Because my faith, the last thing I'm going to give up, and I hope I never give up and give into, is my faith. These folks have made climate change their God, their church. And I think understanding that, you have to respect, as crazy as it may seem, the right to have that opinion. Understand there's numbers of them that look at the policies. This country's enacted. A smart people like Germany embraced it. England was, God bless them, they were smart to back off. But you see where I'm coming at, Guillermo? It's, yeah, we're going to go. You can't help but get exasperated by this junk. And especially when you see so many people being hurt by these Green New Deal policies, people starving to death. But I think to get change, you have to understand. Then you form your strategies on how to defeat it because you understand it. Football thing, we have scouting reports. We look at a lot of film. We know what our opponent does, when they do it, how they do it. That the teams that do that are the teams that usually win. They don't go out, oh, these guys don't got nothing. They're crazy trying to run that play. That play, well, they do run that play. And the Chiefs runs plays that you've never seen, that you would never draw up. You would say that's crazy. But they believe it. So that's, I think, really, really important that just for our leaders to sit down. That's why this toxic anti-bipartisanship stuff has to stop. Because you invoke Reagan and you talk about Putin. Don't talk to Putin. Don't talk to Putin. And I'm talking to moderate Republicans now. The far left are crazy. I mean, they act crazy, okay? And they do need a lot of therapy on there. But that doesn't make sense. Don't evoke the name of Reagan. Don't evoke that we need another Reagan and hold that belief. He's a killer. He's this, he's that. Reagan knew that when he sat down with Gorbachev. Reagan knew that. You know who was the head of the KGB under Gorbachev? Gorbachev hired Putin. Do you understand that? Who's worse? Gorbachev hired Putin as the head of his KGB. And they did some dastardly things and continue to do so. But Reagan said we have to talk this out. And he hated communism, but he knew you had to talk to the leaders of that system that he hated in a respectful way. And there's all that famous moment where Gorbachev says, well, for us to have a treaty to limit nuclear weapons, which we need to do right away, right now, before we blow ourselves to kingdom come, he says, I need this, and this. And Reagan leaned over, whispered in his ear, Niet. You know what Niet means?
No.
In Russian. Simple that. Then leaned back, smiled at Gorbachev. Gorbachev looked at him and said, I'm with somebody who is a real American. He knows what's at stake. There, from that point, he didn't storm out and call him a name, didn't call him a murderer, which it was, if you want to. I mean, you say, well, they leaders, who came out, Carlson came out the other day and said, and leaders murder people. And they went nuts on him. Well, leaders do murder people. They may be people you don't like. Trump killed Soleimani. Obama had Osama bin Laden killed. Don't they have leaders get people killed? That's why I said this world is like the Game of Thrones. We can't get so high and mighty that we villainize another country and their leader to the point where we won't sit down with them, especially when they have the power to destroy us and the world if we don't talk to them. Why the big call for a ceasefire in Gaza but not in Ukraine? Why isn't Chuck Schumer calling for talks with Putin like he's calling for Israel and Netanyahu to have peace, to have a ceasefire with Hamas? Why is that? Do you ever ask yourself that question? Why the hypocrisy? And then you take it a step further, Schumer did, and tell our closest true ally in the Middle East, our only really true 100% ally,
sure,
that you need to have an election and overturn your elected leader. That even turned anti-Netanyahu people against America. How dare we? How do they dare the head of the Senate do that? And I'm sitting here, this is not partisan. If Jim Jordan or Byron Donalds or Trump would have called for that, I would have come out against them and said that's a really stupid thing to do. That does not move the football of peace, if you will, down the field at all. And how many have to die, Guillermo? How many have to die? How many Ukrainians and people in Gaza have to die before you in Ukrainian war. Again, I got my feelings, my suspicions, but this question is not asked and being actively debated. We're not even going to get to the border today, are we? How much time we got?
7
we
minutes.
got 7 minutes. Let's, folks, people use the term invasion at the border, especially folks on the left. They go nuts. And some moderate Republicans go nuts. There's no invasion of the border. We're going to play a little clip that happened yesterday morning in El Paso. And tell me what you think it looks like. That is the Texas National Guard trying to hold these folks back. They break through. They go to a second barrier. Okay. I think we've seen the short and long of it. A lot of points to be made. Number one, this is going to be used by Republicans probably pretty much in every political ad between now and November. And I feel so bad. The state of Texas, the innocent, law-abiding people. I don't know how many know this, but the Ibarra brothers, yes, one of the brothers that killed Laken Riley, came over, I believe it is El Paso, was processed and released into the country. These folks... I feel sorry for our country. I feel sorry also for the immigrant who truly is coming here, even though they're coming here legally, that are law-abiding, that want just a better life. Yeah, there's an argument to be made. We can't afford them in the numbers, how quickly they're coming. I get all that. But I'll put it, there was a lady that was here illegally and her family helped raise my son, our son. They're good people, and they're getting damaged by this system, these wide open borders and letting folks just stampede in here. They're getting hurt too, those people, because you just get lumped in. You can't help but get lumped in. This is too emotion-evoking to seeing people overrun our National Guard in Texas. If I was those Texas soldiers, I'd be filing a lawsuit against the federal government right now for not coming in and securing that border to allow something like this to happen. And what many people may not know in this instance, in that Texas, and that morning in El Paso, they had two groups. One was just women and children who they were orderly processing to get into the country. Women and children first, okay. Then there's a group of this 600 were mostly young men, as you saw, in this other lane, that they had to obviously do more research or hopefully do some background checks. That's what Biden said he was going to do. You know, after this tragedy after tragedy. I mean, there was an assault and a murder after Laken Riley and been before Laken Riley. Remember the Staley young lady out on here in California by someone here illegally? But you look at this, and is it racist to say these folks, the way they're conducting themselves, don't appear to be the kind of folks that would want to come in, hold down a job. I mean, they're there illegally to begin with on that side of the fence. And because it ain't happening fast enough for them, they decide they're going to break down the fence. They're going to just break in physically, no matter what's there, National Guard, whatever. They're going to come in. That's the mentality. You saw it. We got to ask ourselves a tough question. Are those folks, which you saw 600 just in that incident, does that not tell you a little bit about the state of mind of these folks? And most of them were from Venezuela. And when Trump and some other folks, again, I'm just saying Trump because he's got the courage or the craziness to say it, when he says countries are emptying out their prisons. Come here. I'm not saying every country is. We know countries done that. Why there's a precedent for it. Fidel Castro did it with Mariel boat lift. When thousands of criminals he let out of the jails, put them on boats, flimsy boats, and let them sail into Florida. He did it. He openly admitted, yeah, that's what I'm doing. Vast majority of Venezuela. Do you think Maduro over there is sending, like you said, his people that work on the computers and that are really contributing to society? He's got to take care of prisoners, too. Of course he's emptying the prisons. Of course those countries are doing that. I mean, why wouldn't they? They don't have a democracy. They don't have an ACLU holding them accountable in Ecuador and Venezuela. Of course they're going to empty their prisons. And, hey, here's our window of opportunity to get rid of these folks that are creating crime in our country. We don't have enough money to feed them 3 meals in our prisons. We don't have this health care. Get them out. Why? Because he's a communist. Maduro was a communist. He followed Hugo Chavez. And you're seeing more and more and more people from Venezuela. Now, having said that, could there be some good folks from Venezuela fleeing all that stuff? You bet. That's why you need a moratorium on the border. Close it down, get our arms around this issue, and find out who's who. But this whole thing about being a racist, I don't care if that we saw that, and it was white, brown people from Latin America, or lily white people from Eastern Western Europe, or orange people, gray people, purple people. I wouldn't buy. That's not right. That's something you have to be concerned with. You can't have millions of people come into this country like that. And that was a visual, basically, emblematic of our border policy, which is there is no real border. You saw that second barrier there. I don't know how they got there. I guess the state of Texas. And now you don't want to let the state of Texas arrest these folks? You know, there's been some arrests, but we'll see. We just cannot be in these sensitive subjects we talk about to demonize people. So once again, I don't hate Joe Biden, but gosh darn it, goodness gracious, I pray for him to change his policies for the sake of this country and himself. Folks, Guillermo, thank you for hearing me yap. Love y'all. God bless you. God bless America. Just do your best. Let God do the rest. And we get a chance to do it on Monday. Bye-bye now.